like to welcome everybody to our Q2 Meetup for Hug Manila this June 29th. It's the last Thursday of the month. So thank you everybody for spending your last Thursday this month with us. And today we're going to be talking about how to strategize up, setting the mid-year course for business success. And you're probably wondering, what does it mean to strategize up? Don't worry, we'll fill you in on the details because today is really all about that. And since it's the mid year, we felt that today is the best time for you guys to check in on your goals, see how you're doing this 2023, and see what else we can do to keep your goals in check. Not just as a business, but also with HubSpot helping you guys out. So, before we start, I know that there are some new faces here. So happy to see you guys here in our bevy, and I'm happy that you're also able to join right away. I know some people sometimes have trouble with bevy, but I guess it just goes to show everybody here is very techy. All right, so just quick rundown of today's agenda. We'll do a bevy tutorial, do a quick icebreaker, go into the hug highlights as well, and then later on we'll do the session proper with our special speaker, do a 5-minute break, a Q&A as well, and a group photo and a wrap up before we all head off to the end of Thursday. So for first timers who are here, Bevy is kind of like Zoom, Google Meet, all the other video softwares that you guys use, video chatting software. So we also have audio and video Q&A, chat, and leaving the meeting. So at the start of this session, as long as you've allowed Bevy to access your audio and video, you should be able to see these four icons at the bottom. And when they're red, it means that they're turned off. And when they're gray, it means that they're turned on. So we can see or hear you. And also, if you have any questions as we go through the session or during our Q&A, you can ask that through our feature here on Bevy. So if you go to the top, you'll see a chat icon. There are three kinds of chats: general, where everybody can see your message; Q&A, which is specifically for questions that you may have; and direct messages. So direct messages are if you want to reach out to specific people here in our attendee list, whether that's someone you may know, someone you'd like to connect with. You can do it directly on Bevy. We also have upvoting. So if anybody asks a question in our Q&A chat and you feel that that's something you want to ask too, you can upvote questions by clicking the thumbs up image. And like I mentioned, if you want to send a direct message to somebody, a personal message, say hi, things like that, you can just go to the chat icon at the top right of your corner, top right corner of your screen, type your message, and then just enter your message. Or you can also right click on the name of the person on the general chat, and you'll see an option to send a direct message. There you go. Or you can also go to the attendees and find their name there and send a direct message from there. If you have to leave at the event, which I hope you don't leave like anytime soon because we just started, but if you do have to end up leave later on, you just have to click the leave button at the bottom right, and you can choose to leave the event. Okay, and for today's session, since it's a virtual session, we recommend that you turn off your mic just so that we keep things focused. Everybody's focused on our session today, but you can turn on your video if you like and if you've allowed Bevy to turn it on. And we recommend you using your earphones for best virtual experience. And I know here again in our meetup we have a lot of new attendees, and we're so happy to see new faces. So just have fun, and if you want to connect with people, we're more than happy to do so. The Hug Manila community is always a welcoming community to connect with people. So today, we welcome you to the Hug Manila Q2 Meetup, How to Strategize Up, setting the mid-year course for business success. I'm Sam. I'm your Hug leader for this year, 2023. I've been with Hug Manila since 2021, and I'm the design guru at Get Creative Corporation. But outside of work, outside of designing and being a HubSpot fan, I am a peace advocate volunteer. So I enjoy teaching communities and children about peace education and how you can live peace as a way of life. But because I'm a marketing person, I'm a design guru, I am a big fan of the Marketing Hub on HubSpot and also an enthusiast for Canva and Adobe. So that's a little bit more about me. But before we start, I want to make sure that everybody's warmed up for our session today because it's going to be a super insightful one and one that's filled with a lot of learning. So let's first have an icebreaker called Find the Ball. This is a super easy game. Practically anybody has a chance to win. Everybody and anybody has a chance to win. How do you play Find the Ball? So I'll be showing a cup simulator on the screen in a bit where you'll see that a ball will be placed under one of three cups. So all you have to do is watch where the cup with the ball goes. And once the cups stop, all you have to do is type in the chat where you think the ball is. So whether that's in the left cup, the middle cup, or the right cup, you just have to type it in the chat and lock in your answer. So the participant with the most correct guesses in the 5 rounds that we'll have will win an Inbound 2022 journal. This is all the way from Boston. So we're happy to give this away right before the next Inbound comes. And yeah, if you guys want to win this, it's super, super easy. I see Sarah's also wearing the Inbound shirt from last year, too. And we gave that away also during our third meetup last year. Anyway, is everybody ready for today's game? Yeah. So for today's game, you don't need to have your mic or camera on. You just need to be able to type in the chat. Okay? Let's start. I'm going to go and share our simulator. Okay, and I'll be playing our first round. Okay, super quick. Where do you guys think the ball is? Is it in the left, the right, or the middle? I'll give you 5 seconds. Five, four, three, two, and one. Okay, okay. I'm gonna stop the answering here. The correct answer is in the middle. So let me take note of the answers of those who got it correct. And I'm sure David, our chat master, will also be taking note. So we got Christopher. We also got Rochelle.
And Sir Johnny.
And Sir Johnny. Oh gosh. The 3 people in the lead. And Johnny. Okay, let's go to the next round. Again, just watch where the ball goes. Okay. Everybody gets to pick a shell. So round 2. So now Christopher is going with right. There's right, left, and middle. A lot of choices. Okay, I'm gonna end round 2 here. End of round 2. And the correct answer is in the right side. Okay. So again, Christopher got it right. Who else got it right? Rafi.
I
Nice
also
one.
did a video, Sam, that they should watch at the Hug Facebook.
Oh, yeah, I just shared Rafi's video about CRM and TMS. You guys should check it out. Rochelle got it again. Nice one, Rochelle.
And
She's
Jan.
very. And Jan. Nice to have you here, Jan. Okay. So in the lead, we have Christopher and Rochelle with 1 point. Jan, Rafi, and Johnny. Sorry, Christopher and Rochelle with 2 points, and Johnny, Rafi, and Jan with 1 point. We still have 3 rounds to go. You guys can still catch up. This is the next round. Okay, next round. What do you guys think? Oh wait, I'll count. I'll be generous to Sir Johnny. He said right on round two, so I'm gonna give it to him too. Maybe it was a little delayed on his end. But anyway, for round three, there's left, right, middle. Ah, okay, okay. All right. Sir Johnny's being very honest to this point.
Honestly,
Don't count.
yay!
I thought it was delayed on your end. But anyway, this is round three. Just to be clear with everybody, I will also mark it here. End of round three. There. Just so that it's fair for everyone. It was on the right side. So who got it right? Very funny.
You
Vicente.
got it this time with the right.
Okay.
You're the only one who got it.
Johnny, Sir Johnny, and I
Just Sir
think.
Johnny. Just Sir Johnny.
Oh, okay.
Else. Everyone,
Yes, you are right.
now you're right.
Okay, everyone, let's go into round four. We still have two more rounds. So for those with points, you can still catch up. Currently in the lead, we have Christopher, Rochelle, and Johnny with 2 points. Rafi and Jan have 1 point. Let's go for round four. Okay, just pick a shell. Is it in the left, in the middle, in the right? Marivic is here. Hello, Coach Marivic. She picked the middle. The guesses are really like diverse. Everybody's picking one, at least one.
You can still
So,
choose. Type before Sam types end of round.
oh yeah. Anybody else who's gonna catch up and give their
Five,
answer?
4, 3, 2, 1.
Okay, I'm gonna click end of round four. Let's see what the correct answer is. In the middle. Okay, let's see. So, Coach Marvic got it right. Nice one, Coach Marvic. Anybody? Rafi. Rafi got it right too.
Wow, two people.
Rafi. Anybody else? Yep.
No
So
more.
far, it's Coach Maravik and Rafi. So I'm taking down points, but don't worry, guys. David is also taking points. Just to make sure that we get the right winner at the end. Okay, we still have one last round. So again, in the lead, now have four in the lead. Christopher, Rochelle, Johnny, and Rafi with 2 points. Jan and Maravik with 1 point. Let's go for round five. Let me type it here.
This is the last round, right?
Yes, this is our last round. So you have 10 seconds to decide. Which
Okay.
one is it?
Count 1 to 10. 10, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All
Yay!
good. Anybody else gonna catch up? I'm gonna click end of round five. Type in end of round five. Okay. And the correct answer is in the middle. So
Rafi and Sir
Rafi got it
Johnny and Sir Tang.
Rafi got it right. Sir Johnny and
Tang, Vicente Santos.
Dang, nice.
No, no, Sam. No. Incidentally, no. For everyone in the room, this is Dakila. This is my son. He's a HubSpot fan too. Just recently, we were getting his passport renewed, and he kept on saying he's getting his HubSpot renewed. So I guess the HubSpot fever has been rubbing off on him.
Oh, good. We have a new Hug Manila member, the youngest one, probably at 5 years old. Okay, so I already have the points in my notes, and David also has the points, and I think we can already tell who our winner is. But we'll be announcing our winner towards the end during our wrap up, just so that we can make sure that we give the winner credits properly. Okay, but at this point, I want to thank everybody for participating in our Find the Ball game. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you want to do that again next meetup. And stay tuned at our wrap up for the winner. Okay, so I hope that set everybody up well. Again, this is our second Hug Manila meetup, and I just want to go into some of our hug highlights quickly, so previously on Hug Manila, last meetup, we had our guests from Tugger, Holly, Craig, and Chris to talk about data integration, how you can clean up your data as you start the year 2023. And I hope that was good for everybody. But if you want to rewatch it, the recording is up on our event page and the slides as well. If you need access to the slides, you can always message me, and we'll send them to you right away. But it really focused on leveraging data integration to drive growth, improve decision making, and optimize operations. I also want to be able to congratulate Rochelle, who completed the HubSpot Super Admin Bootcamp. Kudos to you. I know that's not an easy bootcamp to take with Dan, Tyre, and Rachel. So, congratulations. And if there's anybody else here in our community who completed boot camps or certifications, send them my way, send them our way so that we can recognize you also in the community. But for those who want to be a lion like Rochelle for HubSpot Super Admin, the next one is coming in July 18. So I recommend that you guys sign up for it, especially if HubSpot is your daily driver, which is, I think, for everyone. Okay, so for today's session, we're gonna cover, I'd like to say, all sections of the flywheel because we're talking about our businesses in general. But later on, you'll get to see how we can use HubSpot to keep our goals aligned. And later on, our speaker will also share some of his tips or methods, the secret sauce to strategizing up. So you'll get to know a little bit more about that in a second, because at this point, I'm going to introduce our speaker for today. I am so grateful to have him, and I'm super excited to have him here in our Hug Meetup. I know I shared this with you guys, I think a few days back, a week back, and I hope you guys are excited to hear what he has to say too. And he's our speaker for today. His name is Troy Sandidge, but I'm sure you guys already know who he is. He is the founder and CEO of Strategy Hackers. He's also an award-winning growth strategist. Troy has had over 175 million dollars in sales generated with his work. He's also the CEO of a chief operating officer of No Middle. He's a host and executive producer at one of my favorite podcasts, I Digress. And he's also the author of Strategize Up, which you guys will be hearing a little bit more about later on. He's also an agency builder, and you may know him from last year's Inbound as the host for Inbound 2022. So without further ado, I don't take the floor, Troy Sandidge.
Hello, what's up, y'all? How y'all doing? Wherever you are in the world, it's fun time right now.
Oh,
Oh my
yes.
goodness. I am so happy to be here. I love y'all so much. I appreciate all the support. Let me just get my screen up for y'all. Okay, y'all should be sharing my screen.
Yeah,
Cool.
and
Let's
while
do it.
Troy is sharing his screen, I just want to let you guys know it's 4 a.m. where Troy is at, but he's here
Just
sharing
a
his
12-hour difference. I work internationally every day. Half my team is in Panoa. So we're going to be great. It's going to be awesome. And I wanted to commit to do with this live. I'm like, you want to get that authentic self. We show up around here at Hug Manila. So, you know what I'm saying? Let's make this work. So, I have limited amount of time. I have a lot jam packed to cover. And if you've heard me speak before, expect energy, maybe expect a few acronyms, expect a few bullets, and we're just going to talk through it. I keep it simple, but we're going to scale and do what we need to do. So, how to strategize up? Setting your mid year adjustments for business success. Keyword there, setting up your mid year adjustments. So, the first thing we need to do before we can go up, y'all, we got to know where the bottom is. What's your floor? So in this moment, put in the chat if you want to, where are you at in your business? What do you want to happen? What do you need to happen? Whatever that is, whether you put it in the chat, whether you say it out loud and mute, or whether you say it personally to yourself, You have to understand what your floor is, because too many times, as we're navigating using HubSpot, as we're navigating our business, our operations, what we're doing for marketing, it's all planned out. We all think through. We can get so narrow minded in what we thought we should do. And it's halfway through the year now. If it hasn't worked by now, unless you have a good reason for it, this is the perfect time to recalibrate and understand your floor so we can strategize up. So, throughout this presentation, I want you to consider, what is my floor? What do I desperately need? And what do I lack? And we're going to go mega deep really quick, trust me. But I just want to set that premise for you all on this conversation. So I'm all about facts. 90% won't pivot and they will fail. That doesn't mean you all would fail. I just want to present the facts and the reality and truth. Business is difficult. Shifting, scaling is challenging. We still have different individuals, whether you're on the client side, whether you're a high level of your business organization, wherever you are, whatever industry you're in, whatever the location is, we're all experiencing a lot of different challenges right now. And I don't want to negate that. I don't want to hide from it. I don't want to run from it. I want to look at and give you a percentage and saying this is where we're at. If we're not going to pivot, if we're not going to shift, it won't result to what we need to do. And so I'm going to talk about, what's the resistance of change and all those things. But we don't want to be in the 90% that fail. We want to be in the 10% that succeed. And ironically enough, I just posted a podcast episode all about this very thing. So it runs right in tangent for what I don't cover. That episode will help and cover for you. So we all want funding, we all want growth, authority, we want revenue, we want that money, we want that respect, we want that ROI, we want that demand. We have an endless list. Insert whatever it is that you want. If anyone wants to, put in the chat, what do you want right now? What do you want for your business right now? Feel free to add in the chat, or again, say it out loud silently to yourself. But how do we do it? How do we get it? No matter what system you're using, no matter how you're perceiving your marketing, it really comes down to a few things. We have to make perception reality. How do we make perception reality? How someone perceives you, your business, from your website, what they look at on your bio, what they search when they see about your business solutions and offerings and products and services, how you come across, even in the engagement pool. If I have them in a sequence, HubSpot email sequence, follow up, trying to do cold, email, outbound, or maybe they've been a customer, we're trying to retain them as a customer. I always need to make the repair check to see the perception of me is the reality that they experience, the reality that they see. Most times when we're in this middle ground and we don't know how to shift, when we're stuck, the numbers from Q1 and Q2 aren't as nice as we would like. And we know we got to go pretty fast and do more things in Q3 and Q4. A part of that solution and also part of the problem is that the perception of your value, what they're going to buy for, what they're going to buy from, who they're going to buy to, is not matching the reality. And keep in mind, the key thing to understand here, we have to make sure the perception matches our ideal ICP. We're not trying to sell to anybody. We're not trying to market to everybody. We're trying to connect and attract and engage and convert with our ideal client profile. And so that may take some recalibration even there. Again, the numbers don't lie. If you're not getting to where you need to be percentages wise and you're hesitant to make the jump, it could be other factors unbeknownst to you, the economy, the audience you're attracting, depending on what it is, that maybe it'll switch over and you just stay the course. But in most cases, this is the time to let me just recheck, let me just check and see how my client profile is doing. Do I have any existing ideal customers that I can inquire and seeing how's the landscape? What's the temperature? Because I need to understand to make valuable decisions accordingly. The other things, obviously, is drive demand and increase conversions. Easier said than done. easier said than done. But these are essential pieces for us to get off that floor so we can strategize up, so we can scale. But before we can even go up, before we can scale, we have to sustain ourselves. So even in this moment, where are you financially? Where are you with your revenue goals? Where are you with your prospects? How is your lead gen happening? What is going on in these other intervals? How is your internal team, your external team, whether they're employees, consultants, clients, even your community, whoever you're leaning on to stay afloat and get ahead? How is the temperature in the room internally? Because we have to make sure we're fortified internally to do this deep work so we can actually move forward in the second half of the year. So, if you don't know me, I'm Troy Sandidge. I wrote a book, so that immediately makes me qualified to talk on this since it says strategies up in the book. But with all humility, I wrote this book because I know there are so many organizations, so many businesses out there that want certain tangible things, but maybe they don't have all the things to know how to do so. And so I like to keep it simple. I like to make it easy. I like to make it approachable. And honestly, this book was for me. Took all the ideas, I did all this research to figure out, simplify this for me. I need to understand this. And as a person of color in business, sometimes the information, the access is difficult to grasp. So I did the best job that I could to modify that into a simple book to process and understand. So we're going to talk about some of my fun frameworks that will help us strategize up on this conversation. So the first thing to ignite your growth is called the Clover framework. Now, Clover, when I first wrote this down, it was a process for me, kind of just how do I move and navigate? How do I make this work? What lens do I look through? And so I use Clover as a lens. And if you don't know, in different cultures, clovers are lucky. Well, I don't believe in luck, but I do believe in creating my own luck by creating an environment that gives me a higher position for success. So, when I'm looking at that, when I'm trying to navigate these things, and thank you for anyone who bought my book, I appreciate y'all. Um, how do I look at this? How do I move along? The first thing, be clear about your goals and your why. I'm going to add in this moment, be clear about your situation. There is no reason to lie to yourself. There is no reason to be in denial. We need to know specifically where we are right now in our business in conjunction, in parallel to where we're trying to go in our business by a certain timeline. Now, some people have a tendency when they don't get a certain thing by a certain timeline, they move the finish line. Now, if you're in a race and you running a marathon and you've been putting all this work in, and someone goes along and saying, I'm going to move the finish line further back, how would you feel? Put it, how would you feel? For me, I'm gonna be tired. I'm gonna be upset. I'm gonna be frustrated. Just because I looked like I wasn't gonna finish, don't move the finish line. Let me finish. And so I want to at least acknowledge and share that if you're midway through this year and you haven't achieved your goals just yet, that don't mean push the finish line to next year and just be like, let's just coast. Let's just get enough to survive. And next year, 2024 is my thrive year. No, I want to stop that and shut that down. Just because the half of the year maybe didn't get to where you want to go doesn't mean you're not going to finish strong. That's why you're here. That's why you're part of this community. So I want to acknowledge that. So be clear about the situation. Be clear that we're going to do everything we can to achieve the goal that we set for us. Now, along the way, we may even discover maybe the goal we set for ourselves was too headstrong. Maybe it was a little too much. I don't know. But let's pursue it and see what happens. Now, if we have identified the goal that we set for us was too ambitious, fine, reset the goal. That don't mean I move the finish line further back. I just recalibrate to what I feel the team, myself, my business can achieve. Now, the next thing, very critical and important, especially now, leverage your time and resources wisely. What do you have as leverage? Think about it. What do you have as leverage? How can I shift and prioritize and modify? The next thing, this is the third thing. This is the thing that most folk don't do. That most businesses, most initiatives, marketing campaigns, sales campaigns, they set their plan for the year. I don't know, they set their plan for the year. And they think throughout the year, that plan is supposed to stay the same and sustain. No, we should be constantly optimizing our process. We should be constantly looking at the data, constantly looking at our goals, looking at the trajectory, checking all the boxes, and modifying accordingly. If you have done marketing successfully, you know that it is a hard job. It is a series of trial and failure, constantly hoping we get a skew and higher goals. If for anyone who's right, I'm a big basketball and football person, but right now none of that's happening right now. So we have baseball. So I'm gonna use a baseball reference. So anyone who watches baseball, you know the skew ratio for someone, their hitting percentage is a point percentage, but depending on how you look at the perceptive, it's high. And so, what is your hitting percentage? We need to optimize that so we can get more home runs. I had to throw a sport analogy in there at least once. The next thing you want to do is manifest your vision and exchange value. So, I get the question a lot. I express it in my book a lot too. The difference between clarity and vision. Clarity is just defining what you want or being very transparent about where you are or where you're trying to go. A vision is manifesting how you want it to go and what you want to happen. You're seeing it literally. So if we're looking at the second half of the year and we've already defined clearly where we're trying to go, how do we see it? Where are we going? And does everyone internally and your ideal client profile, your ICP externally sees the same vision? There we got to exchange value. No one does business with someone who doesn't exchange value. I'm not going to give you hundreds of thousands or hundreds of millions of dollars if there isn't an exchange of value. I'm not going to give you a referral. I'm not going to be an advocate for you. I'm not going to be a supporter of you without an exchange of value. And I see someone says, how does success look like? Are we looking at the same thing? Great question. I'm going to attack that in one moment. The next thing is to execute. It's great to plan. It's great to identify we're not where we need to be and go through all the protocols and processes. But if you don't move, if you don't do, if you don't put into action, nothing can be, nothing can become, nothing can exist as we're trying to make a change. So you have to execute. And then it's all about the results. Now, to Rafi's point, what does success look like? Well, that's subjective, of course, to each one of you, to what you define. Is that a certain number? Is that a certain number of clients? Is that a certain number of revenue? Is it a feeling? Is it we're good on financial? I want to bring on more team, or I want to feel like I'm not doing as much work, or I want to delegate more. And so I'm expanding my operations, or I'm making my growth ops process simpler, or I'm making my rev ops process better. What does success look for you? Very something you need to understand in the C of Clover. Be clear about what does success look like. Because if you don't know that, everything else is predicated on the C and working with them. But again, this is a circle. So you could be clear about what success looks like, but maybe the results aren't working, and maybe we're executing not as well. But maybe we have the vision and the value, and we know what we need to optimize. So it's a circle. It's not a straight line. It's not like you have to do it in a certain order. We're just going to make sure all the pieces are in flow, a flow state to make it work, just like the flow wheel. So, in my line of work, in my experience of advising other people and everything else, there's 6 phases you need to do to set yourself for success. The first phase is investigation. Again, you can apply Clover to help you with that. How do we look at things? How do we move? How do we navigate forward? What is happening in my ecosystem? What's happening in my industry? What's happening with the economy? Any factor that is impacting your bottom line, your profits and losses, your team morale, I need to investigate. Anytime it's not going to plan, I need to investigate. Then I need to initiate a solution, initiate a response, even if it's to understand where I'm trying to do next. Phase three is integration. Now, how do I integrate it amongst my team, amongst my sub processes, in my messaging, my sales messaging, my marketing messaging, my nurturing pool? How do I integrate this properly? And then from there, how do I implement? How do I empower other people to move this forward? How do I implement in various avenues? Does that require mean I need to bring on new technology? Do I need to bring on more people? What's the best way to do this? Then innovation. Just because I implemented a new marketing campaign, just because I implemented a new sales process, don't mean it's going to work out the box. I didn't see all the things I saw when I built it until I run it and seeing what happens. So that requires what? Innovation. Now, after I've innovated, introspection, where I'm looking internally, does everything align? And the cycle goes back again. Now, most times you're either going to start with introspection or investigation, depending on the situation. I always lean on introspection first in some cases because sometimes it requires you to take a deep breath and then talk with your team if you're one that's going to be transparent about where you are, where you're feeling, how we're seeing the systems, how we're seeing the business, where are we at with the marketplace. Then go through the steps. So investigation, initiation, integration, implementation, innovation, and introspection. If there's any questions so far, free to add in the chat. I know there's a few questions at the end, but I'm just trying to get in flow and make sure everything's on a good thing. The quickest route to success is a straight line, and a straight line is simple. Ask yourself, is your process simple? And are you going in a straight line? Because we're trying to go up. Now, yeah, you can go up this way, you can go up this way, but however way direction you're trying to go, it's still got to be a straight line. We don't want to zigzag. We want to see exponential growth. We want to move fast. We want to move strong. We want to move together. And so, are you going in a straight line? If any point you feel like you're not in flow, you're not going straight anymore, then we got something got to be simplified. We got to identify where we're at. We got to go back through our 6 phases to get this course corrected. Now, this is the most important slide of the whole presentation. Spoiler alert, just going to tell you right now. Whatever else I'm pulling from my book, that's great. This ain't in the book. This is the most important slide, whole conversation. Listen, you have 4 currencies. You have 4 building blocks to work with to recalibrate your direction for your business for the rest of this year. Your marketing, your sales, your growth goals, all of it. What most people who present, what most people talk about with marketing and sales, they miss this whole core thing. No matter how more you implement with the great HubSpot system, no matter how much more you do certain things, you still have the same 4 build. I don't know how many people like Pokemon. I loved it growing up, manga, all of it, the whole thing. You are going to get a starter Pokemon. In the same way with business, we all have the same 4 currencies, the 4 building blocks to work with. But you know what? The reason why we're not growing, the reason why we're not scaling, we're not using these blocks efficiently for what we need to do in our current situation. Come on now. So time, money, knowledge, and skill. TMKS. We only have so much time. We only have so much money. We only have so much knowledge. And we only have so much skill. So, of course, if I'm trying to learn HubSpot more, if I'm trying to help a client do certain things more, well, I might take more courses. I may learn from different individuals so I can improve my skill, so I can enhance my knowledge. But what if I don't have the time? Well, then I'm going to bring on a partner, an agency that's going to come in, saving me time, providing pseudo knowledge and skill for me to implement what I need to do so I can get more MONEY. Now, that's just one example. You can have all the different combinations you want. Most people start, and most people have either time or knowledge, and they're just trying to improve their skill or make more money. Now, the thing is, if you're a lean team, That means you don't have as many people. So that means I need to integrate more technology to save me time so I can spend more time elsewhere on other initiatives. We have to understand this formula. We have to understand where we're at with our building blocks. How are we going to get more money to then staff our agency more? How are we going to get more money to integrate more technology to save us more time so we can go and get more growth because now we have more window of room to pursue other opportunities because we're not stuck in the day to day. We have to understand these four building blocks. It's absolutely critical. Because the thing is, in business, it will humble you. And I never think year to year, just because I had a great year last year, doesn't mean that's going to translate to the next year. I need to be constantly evolving my knowledge and understanding, improving my skill, hopefully making that more than MONEY. And you know what? I want to make more money by doing less, spending less time in areas that I don't want to do. How do we navigate that? So if you look at your four building blocks in conjunction with the six phases, you're looking through Clover as your structure for it through these four building blocks. Let's look at our systems, our operations, and how we're navigating accordingly, honestly. Now, the thing is, most times we're exchanging time for money, but that can get old. That could be your floor because you want to have more vacation or you want to pursue bigger fish, but I'm stuck dealing with all the smaller fish because I don't have enough time. But maybe I don't have enough money yet to get me out of the day to day. Well, then that's where value comes in. Can I exchange more to fill in that gap so I can modify? Or that's clarity here. That's on your goal list. My goal is to give me back more time, but sustain the business. However, this goes, you have four building blocks to work with. Everything else fits around this. Everything is built on this foundation. So if we're not getting where we need to go, yeah, everyone mostly will say, I need more money. You probably need more time to process and think, less time doing things you don't want to do. You probably need to enhance your knowledge or skill, and that takes time. Or you use the money to get back that and pay someone else to do it. However, you need to go, we can go many different ways. You need to know your four building blocks and make sure you just calibrate it or recalibrate it to where you're trying to go. Now, I'm going to speed this up for the rest of the conversation. Now, the five is generate growth, consideration, communication, connection, consistency, and community. Now, I'm going to go back for 1 second. Again, keep this in mind, your four building blocks, right? So, transitioning out to that, what do I need to consider? What do I need to communicate internally or externally? Who do I need to connect with? If you look at your team, who have you not been connecting with? Maybe it's a client. When's the last time I've had a checkpoint with them? Not related to business, just to see the lay of the land, what they're thinking, how they're feeling. Are we being consistent in what we're trying to implement? That change mid-year. And are we leaning in on our community? Are we even telling our community where we're trying to go? Does our community know our vision? See, I'm going to try to tie all this together as quickly as possible. It's very critical that you understand this as well, where we're trying to go and how we're trying to navigate. So how do we now implement, again, going back to our 5 C's, how do we implement all of this? Another acronym from a book, it's called DART, Direct, Authentic, Resourceful, and Tactical. This is a very essential thing if you're lean, if you're navigating different team members across the globe, um, if you're navigating up, as in you know you're going to have more resistance to new clients, this is what you need to do. Most times we aren't being direct enough in our communication. And also, people who, if we're trying to pursue higher contracts, higher retainers, multi-year deals, we're trying to break into higher industries with more financial backing, we're going to have to be bolder. We're going to be more direct about how we're articulating everything. So that's ask, challenge. That's being simple and clear and relevant, and maybe a little bit clever too. Then we got to be authentic in our messaging. Have you went through your own sales funnel recently? Have you engaged in your marketing funnel recently? Does it make your eyes roll, or would you actually be engaged? Not because you did it, or your team did it, or your business did it. Would you, as in knowing your ideal client profile, would you engage with it? Would it land with you? Does it feel authentic? Sometimes we can get so lost in the nuance of marketing and selling and the language that we're not seeing that this does not connect to the people we're trying to talk to, you're trying to do business with. So make sure that it's transparent, honest, and upfront. Be relatable and share truth. I always find honesty is the best policy. Then be resourceful in your approach. Listen, I am trying to express a lot of things in a limited amount of time. Even when you're having all these conversations, even if you have other meetings throughout the rest of this year, one thing you will have to be is resourceful. Again, time, money, knowledge, and skill. We have limited amounts depending on where we are, depending on what industry you're in, depending on where you just currently are in your business right now. And so that requires us to be resourceful in how we move, how we navigate. So know your strengths and capitalize on them. And then be tactical in your execution. Activate strategies and systems. It's going to be better than just going at it blind and seeing see what sticks. And just making sure you're developing tactics for repeatable success. So, how do we disrupt the market? Launch, listen, and learn. Activate and engage and grow. We know that. We know that. So, how do we launch these new initiatives? First, we need to listen and understand, learn, and then move accordingly. We need to rethink the ways we are entering, doing, and selling if we want to disrupt the market. Disruption allows you that separation between competitors. Disruption allows you to stand out amongst a sea of other providers or service providers or product developers that may be similar to you. So let's go through a scenario. If your funding dries up, do you have secondary resources you can turn to? If someone beats you to the market, how can you plan to be better? If your MVP isn't working, what can you pull from it to pivot it in another direction? These are questions many people have right now in the mid-year. Something isn't working, something isn't landing. Clients maybe want to break a contract, or they're ending, they're not renewing. How do we pivot? How do we adjust? We have to be resourceful. This isn't the time to panic. This is the time to be calm. Apply Clover, go through our 6 phases, seeing where can we utilize our time, money, knowledge, and skill to make adjustments to push things forward. So this last slide, say yes to the 4 E's: engagement, exclusivity, experience, and emotion. So people talk about engagement, and most times they're looking through a lens of social media, commenting, direct messaging. But they may miss out on email. They may miss out on SMS, text messaging, or honestly, a phone call or in person meeting. I won't say Zoom because maybe zoomed out, but you can include Zoom in here too for visually direct meetings. So think of engagement as all the different dynamics, exclusivity as in to make sure that you are providing experience that feels one on one. That feels like I'm not going to get this experience anywhere else. It's going to be very exclusive. And the experience itself is top notch. It makes me feel good. Feeling good being the emotion. So if you look at your copy, you look at your sales and marketing, how are we moving? Are we moving with emotion? Are we giving a high quality experience? Does it feel exclusive? And are you being engaging? And so I'm looking forward to answering any Q&A. And if we don't get to it now, because I might have maxed my time out, I am well open. You can tweet me at Find Troy. You can email me. I'm going to be in the group. I can answer any question that you have, if not now, at a later date. And thank you.
Oh my gosh, Troy, I'm like at a loss for words. Thank you so much for sharing all of these amazing strategize up nuggets. And while you were talking about them, like I could see the pages in the book. When I read the book, I could see it
I'm over
popping
here
up.
like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do?
But if you guys weren't able to catch the methods or strategies that Troy mentioned, I'll put a summary here in our chat. And if you end up buying the book or reading the book, you can watch out for these nuggets and be able to apply it also as you go through your mid-year, aligning your goals, and just really being smart about your four currencies, because we don't have a lot of it, so we need to be smart about using it. So at this point, thank you for sharing your time, Troy. We actually do still have time for a Q&A, so let me go ahead and share my screen, and I hope you guys are still doing well. Yes, is everybody still alive in the chat and still
Gotta do a
kicking?
little stretch.
This is like right now it's 4:57 p.m. at our time. So this is what we call like afternoon snack time. Maybe some people are hungry, want to go get afternoon snack, which is like merienda for us. But thank you for sharing in the chat, Sarah, the link to Troy's book for anybody else who wants to read more about Troy's ways to strategize up. At this point, we're gonna go into a quick Q&A, and for this Q&A, I'm going to bring in our chief advocate also, Sarah Medilo, who's also an entrepreneur, leading a business too. So I'm sure she's also checking in on her OKRs and seeing if they're still in check. But hello, Sarah. Welcome to the room.
Hi, Sam. Thank you.
And
Good
now
hug
it's going to be,
with Troy this year.
I know, last year, this was just like a dream. We were just thinking about, oh, what would happen if Troy joined their hug? And then he joined. Like within a week's notice. So
Just a
we're super.
backstage story for everyone. When we were at Inbound last year, um, Troy was on stage, and we were really like trying to get a hold of him. And Troy actually did a quick video with us because us, when we have to go to Inbound, we have to fly 16 hours, and he was just amused by that. It again, Troy. Um, I didn't think of like sending the book over to me here in the Philippines, but for everyone here, Amazon delivers in the Philippines, and you get some discounts with one of the banks. So yes, try that link. It's a really really good book, especially for leaders who are thinking about how they would strategize for their teams and be able to um, share that knowledge easier. Yes, great acronyms. I mean, right, Sam? We were like overloaded. We were like, whoa, these are good things. Yeah. Yeah.
But what's
Thank you.
amazing about these acronyms, if I may just add, since they all connect. So what Troy showed you guys today is just a snippet of one of the many other things that you can learn to really start with, look at your bottom and see how can you move up, how you can move up from the bottom. But yeah, if you guys want to see that video with Troy, I was able to find it and in our long list of posts. Anyway, okay, let's go into our Q&A. So again, for the 20 people who are here in the chat, if you have any questions about Troy or the things that he mentioned today, or even questions on how you can apply these as you're working on your business, or as you're trying to keep the flow, especially in the flywheel, for your business, you can ask them in the Q&A. But prior to this event, some people already had questions, Troy, so we're gonna bring those up at this time. So I'm gonna go in with the first question. People are asking, what does it mean to be a strategy hacker? Because I know that's not, it's kind of unconventional to hear that someone is a strategy hacker or a growth strategist. So what do those two terms mean, and how did you end up becoming those two?
Well, it's always like if you're a wrestler trying to find your name, your identity. And so for me, I've always been really good at strategy, just manifesting something from nothing. But I also like to be radical and challenging. And how do we navigate? I don't believe in impossible. How do we hack the system? How do we break it, disrupt it? And so that's where hacker came from. And so when I put the two together, which I got trademarked, by the way, so it's registered the whole thing, because I believed in it so much. I really wanted that to be the hook, because really, if you're looking at, yeah, anyone can be a growth strategist per se, but how do I differentiate myself? Well, no, I want to hack the system to make it work for you. I want to find the strategies pertaining to wherever you're trying to go in your business. And it may not be growth. It may be sustainability, maybe streamlining, however that may become. So that's kind of where the name, and it just stuck and took off from there. The other thing I want to say about this example, that name, really quick, for the longest time, for those who know me really well, my username is at Find Troy. And so when I first got onto the scene in social media marketing, people just, oh, that's Find Troy. I found him. Ha 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 ha. All great. I still receive it. It's a punchline. I make $1 every time someone does it. But the caveat I'm saying and all that is, it was restricting me from the money I wanted to receive because it didn't land with the ICP I was trying to go after. They didn't see me as a valuable commodity because of the name, simply because of that. I had it as Fine Short Marketing Solutions. So I changed it. Took and now it's Strategy Hackers, but I took the moniker Strategy Hacker, and that changed their perception of how people saw me and gave me a reality boost to achieve where I'm trying to achieve now. So lesson learned on naming is very important.
So I guess today's talk isn't just about business, but it's also about branding.
Come on with it.
I agree. I agree. So I mean, you spoke about ICP, Troy. So I know a lot of the names here are businesses here. Good mix actually. We have people who are retailers who are doing B2B. We also have people who are B2C. There are people here who are doing B2B as well. So as they develop that ICP, and I heard you there, you needed to iterate also on that ICP just to hit that goal that you wanted. I mean, what are some tips that you could give people as they think about or strategize around that, their ideal customer profile?
I always like to say the first thing, check the data you're using to make your decisions. And this goes beyond simple Google search, finding the first journal or article from a name or recognized brand name or something that, or even a thought leader like myself or anyone else out there, and just saying that's my Bible. That's what I need to do. No, no, no. The most important way is reverse. I'm a former electrical engineer, so I'm all about reverse engineering things. Who am I trying to reach? What is the goal? So who am I trying to reach and work backwards? Let me make a list of the most ideal people I'm trying to connect with, or what would my ideal, buyer persona look like? If I'm a product or if I'm trying to service, who has the highest demand? Who would that look like? Who would pay me whatever number I want? What language are they using? How are they moving? What's going on in their industry or world? What has happened in the last 30 to 90 days for that particular business? And then I need to work backwards to build my copy and my messaging and how I'm going to actually enter the room. Most people don't know how to enter the room because they don't know where the rooms are, because they haven't done enough work to know really where are they hanging out at? How do I connect with them? Because if I knew, then you would know where the door was. Well, I'm trying to get to the door. Well, you didn't think about it. You didn't think through these things. And so I think what you get your data from, how you built these profiles from the actual people or businesses or consumer base you're trying to attract is critical. Because if you go the opposite way, I'm biased. My idea is perfect. It's going to work, but I'm not. There's so much nuance that I can't perceive. I have to try it out. But before I do that, I really need to see on the back end, am I even in the right ballpark? So, for example, this sounds really silly. This is the silliest example in the universe, but it'll make sense. I'm trying to do business with people in the United States that have a revenue of 50 million to 100 million and have a marketing budget of at least 5 million, with probably a skew of 10 to 15 more depending on their business, how they're built and everything. And that's where, let's say you're a B2B agency, for example. But I'm doing that. I'm sending inquiries to Canada. Sounds silly. Sounds so silly. Well, duh. Start sending inquiries to the United States where you're actually trying to go. No, no, I'm going to just keep sending inquiries to Canada. It's close enough, right? It's close enough. We're in the same hemisphere. It's close enough. No, it's not. No, it's not. But that sounds silly. It seems so obvious. But tell me why even 0.001% off degree off in skew, you're not going the straight line that you want to go with your ideal audience. So in the same way, check again your data and make sure you're moving it to the audience you're trying to actually reach. And sometimes that requires you to zoom out and ask other people who maybe aren't going to buy from you, but are in that same category to look at it and be like, oh no, you're going to Canada. You're not going to the United States. You're totally in the wrong ballpark here. Even though you've done everything right, you got real close. You ain't close enough. So think about that.
I think it's so serendipitous that you're talking about data, Troy, because that's exactly what we started with in Q1 of the Hug Manila meetup. Our friends at Tugger were talking about how data is a gold mine, but sometimes people
Mm,
don't know how to mine the gold, or
no.
they know how, but they're just not picking up the right tools or going to the right mines or bringing a wagon to mine that gold. So something as simple as zooming out and really looking at your data is, I think, really important, because sometimes we can fall into the pit hole of just sending out emails, sending out, doing social media posts, and doing all of these like inbound content and just releasing content that we don't know if they're reaching the right people. And personally, that's hitting me because I'm also thinking, is our content reaching the right people? Are we sending it to the right people? So I hope that's also something that lights up in your, hits a light bulb for you guys here in our meetup.
Yes, Sam,
Or
I wanted to like just bring up or just we had a recent Troy, we had a recent like conversation, Sam and I, about our buyer personas, which we created. So for the longest time, we were thinking, okay, we should be creating buyer personas based on like the roles of like the sales manager or the IT manager. So we did that. We were doing that for a while, kind of worked for a bit, but we're realizing also how the market has changed so much, and the pain points that we're solving for clients are also broader. So Sam, that maybe you can share with the Hug community what your thoughts are there and how that is, and maybe we can get Troy to validate if we're doing the right thing. Yeah.
oh yeah, totally. Because even for a Hug Manila like Hug leader like me, I also make mistakes. And something as simple as figuring out what your buyer personas are for the company is also something that we had to look into. And yeah, I guess it's serendipitous because we're mid-year and that's really something we're planning for Q3 and Q4. But yeah, we started out thinking that, the buyer persona should be based on job descriptions. And then I remember taking a HubSpot Academy course, building the knowledge, the skills. And I realized it's not about the job role. Because even if they have like different job roles, they have different pain points too. So it's better that, when you're picking out your buyer personas, you really base it off of what does this person need, or what does the client profile, what do they need and what is their pain point. And then from there you can send out the right content. So when I was getting to that, the trouble of, is our marketing content reaching the right people, I realized that part of the contacts weren't, because we didn't know what their pain points were, we just knew what their job description was. So for you, Troy, well, had you ever had a client who was also in that, I guess, similar dilemma, not knowing who their clients truly are?
I have that same dilemma from time to time, and I just talked about it. I make mistakes too. This is a constant thing you have to navigate quarter by quarter, year by year. So you're not going to get it perfect and just think set it and forget like a QVC commercial. No, you are really going to have to modify and go through Clover and optimize it every year. I'm not saying anything I don't be doing myself because I have to. And so I've made that same mistake, especially when I was doing cold outreach. Oh, I know what, because my client had this title in it. I'm going to be obsessed and make a whole funnel around the title naively. Because guess what? A title in one business as a decision maker, a hierarchy, can be completely different in someone else's world. A VP of marketing versus a CMO. The VP of marketing, that business could have more power than that CMO does. And we're basing off a specific type of title. Now, what I've learned, I think in episode 28, if I digress, I'm not mistaken, I talk about the chocolate cake or the Tylenol? Are you bringing pain? Or are you providing joy? To that point, thinking about pain points, what's the biggest pain point? Here's a hack I've done, and I'll share it. We targeted executive assistants of CEOs because the biggest thing we need to get in, we have to infiltrate, we have to disrupt, right? So if we're going to the head honcho, the top person, everyone's doing that. Go to the executive assistant. They know their calendar. They know their pain point because they hear it every day. If I make that executive assistant's life better and easier through what I'm trying to offer, that they're going to now give it to the CEO directly, well, hey, we got a Trojan horse directly to the person. And maybe that reduces our sales cycle. An executive assistant. Who would have thought? Oh, no one's thinking about that. Why would I do that? Because they have direct access. And guess what? They would hear. They would hear what they have to say. Oh, I was hearing this person's podcast. I was consuming this person's content. I was on Hug Manila today. And you know what? You should go talk to them about XYZ. This person was talking to this in the chat. Don't even know that's what they did. And so I think when we look at how we're building our buyers' personas, I really even want to modify that to being like, who can be the biggest advocate about the problem that's happening in the business? Who's the person going to tell me all the tea? Go give me all the gossip, but people listen to? That's who I'm trying to target. I don't have to have my marketing sales to always be directed to the decision maker. I just need to be in the room. Remember, we got to find that door. If I'm in the room, eventually someone's gonna be like, who was to be in the life of the party that we're not even in the room yet? And so when we're looking at buyer persona, which is still great, because we need to know our direct people or people, we need to go through the chain of command to get the money, MONEY. I still need to be in the same space. And so that might require you to make sure the pain point is big enough. But also keep in mind here when we're doing our buyer personas, very critical, is that let's try to do a team effect. If I can have touch points with multiple people within the same organization and attack it on all fronts or key fronts, really a triangle at the very least, those three touch points will be enough to make a space that now maybe I'm going to get an audience with the real decision maker because there's enough validation, enough familiarity that they will be like, I need that. I need to talk to this person. We want to reduce the friction and resistance as much as possible before we get to the actual decision maker. So just want to throw some thoughts on that.
Thanks, Troy. I think that's also a good point to note that you don't always have to go to the decision maker because sometimes there are champions in the business who can help propel the message that you want to send across. Or maybe these champions see the solution that the decision makers don't yet. So that helps a lot with getting your message across and showing them that you have the solution to their pain point.
So one of our favorite buyer personas that we're using actually right now, Troy, forget creative, is our eager earnies, right, Sam? So
Ooh,
she has a, he has she
like it.
created this buyer persona called the eager earnie. These are people who want to like, you know, um, put energy into transactions, make sure that things are done. But there's also one buyer persona that I love that Sam thought about, the unknown Eunices. So
Ooh.
sometimes when we get emails right from people and they're CCing these people, so these unknown Eunices, we track that and we get our BDRs to look into LinkedIn, find out who are these people, so that we could identify who they are, and we can, you should have more than just one touch point anyway. You need to build champions around like the deals that you're working. So that's been helpful, and I'm glad that Sam's been working on our buyer personas that way. Thank you, Sam.
You go, Sam.
All right, so much for buyer personas. I think we have time for one last question, and I guess it's gonna be a challenging one, Troy. But I'm sure you'll be able to give your insight here. With all of the businesses that you've worked with, what has been the biggest common mistake that they're making? that is like putting a ceiling to them achieving their goals for a year? Is there a recurring one that you've noticed?
They don't have enough cash flow to do what they need to do. Period. They're not making enough cash flow to make sure they can implement other new strategies, test new markets, bring on additional BDRs, explore different marketplaces. They're not making enough cash flow. And so their dreams are going to make the navigation so what they're trying to do because they didn't consider how much pull on cash would that take. The time, knowledge, money, knowledge, and skill on top of that. I literally talked about that today. So that's what the last recent episode I just talked about. I literally my whole full answer is in 30 minutes on that episode today. So go check that out. I digress.fm. But to consolidate that, I would say it really honestly is that because when I come in as a partner or a consideration and things like that. When I ask all these key questions, going through our 6 phases, in our investigation phase, we find out a lot of it is I'm desperate for money, or or they realize I need an additional amount to really do the market campaign justice, or put it about in the paid campaign, or really see where it's at. You see, when we're trying to grow or scale or do a course correct, that requires a lot of energy. And sometimes that energy is money. And we like to think everything else stays the same and we just make this incremental change. That's not how it works. You have to exchange something to get something new. And so I find that is a very key thing. And so if we're trying to make a pivot, let's look at really honestly what is sustaining us right now and how much do we really honestly have to work with. I'd rather know financially specifically what you have to work with, not be ashamed by it. I'm a believer we can make anything work, but we got to be honest and transparent about what is. Not in, well, I surmise, I estimate by end of Q3 on we additional 250K. I can't go off estimates. What do you have on hand right now that we can work with in the hopes to maybe get you 500K? I don't know. And so I find that's a big problem that most have is that they don't have a good hints on their cash flow and money allocations, budget allocations to make that pivot, to make that course correct, or their sales and marketing initiatives, bringing on more people, integrating new technology, whatever that XYZ is, to hopefully get on the other side of it by the end of the year.
Thank you for that amazing point. So I'm sure there are people in the chat are also thinking about that. Is cash flow something that's you're noticing is a mistake in your business or something that you haven't looked into yet? If it is, you have your answer right here with Troy and his podcast, which Sarah just shared in our
Actually,
chat.
cash flow is a problem. We are working with a client who helps with cash flow. Just hit us up on Hug Manila. There's a group called First Circle that helps provide that. So
Oh
yeah,
yes.
we'd be happy to um, connect you with them.
Just putting it out there. But anyway, that ends our Q&A for today. I want to thank you so much, Troy, for joining us in this Q&A and for sharing all of these amazing nuggets. And I want to thank the remaining 15 people who are still here in our bevy. Please stay because the next part of our Hug Manila meetup is a bevy group feast. So I'm going to stop sharing so that we can see everybody's beautiful and
And then
handsome
after that, Sam,
faces.
we're announcing the winner, right?
Oh yes, we are announcing the winner too. So please stay tuned. Okay, but yeah, can for anybody who would like to turn on their camera and be part of our group photo, we invite you to join us. Hello, Coach Marivic. Hello, Winston and Florence. Thank you for joining us. These are new faces, and we're happy to have you guys here. Hey, Andrea. How's it going? All right. Yo, maybe I'll give a 5 second counter for anyone else who wants to turn their camera on. Hey, David.
CBM also offers help for cash flow, right,
Oh,
Andrea?
yeah.
So we can connect them also. Yeah,
You already got your names here. And see,
yeah.
here are solutions for you guys because you joined our meetup. So thank you so much for being here. Anybody else will turn on their camera? I'll give five counts. Five, four,
Smile, smile.
three. Hey, Jan. Two and one. Okay, I'm gonna take a screenshot.
Oh,
Uh,
I did.
Everybody smile. Let's take two. Just
Oh, wow.
a smiley one, and then let's do a wacky one in a bit. Okay, smile. Three, two, one. Okay, and for the second one, you can do a silly face, or if you have like a
Oh,
brand
yeah.
pose that you do for your branding. Okay, let's go.
Do that. Do it.
In three, two, one, smile. All good. Thank you guys so much for your energy this afternoon and for Troy this morning. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen again. You can keep your cam on or you can turn it off. We'll just close things off with our Hug Manila meetup. Just a wrap up, a quick one. If you missed any Hug Manila event, including this one, if you're watching our recording, or if you miss it and you want to watch it, you can go to events at hubspot.com/Manila and you'll see our previous events there. And if you want to get content from any of these events, you can just message us at Hug Manila, or you can post in the group and we'll send you the content definitely. Our icebreaker winner! Woohoo! Congratulations to Johnny Fitalvero and Rafi Santos. We will be sending over your inbound prizes very soon. So I will contact you guys offline on how we can send these to you. And congratulations! Thank you for being very active. And I guess luck was on your side today because today was a luck game for our icebreaker. Let's make our next Hug Manila events more awesome. If you want to see more people like Troy or more of Troy in our next meetups, feel free to share your thoughts in the survey that will be sent to you guys via email. As long as you signed up for our event today, you'll get sent the survey for our meetup. We'll do a post Q&A also for those who are watching our recording now. You can ask your questions to Troy in our Facebook group. Um, and we'll make sure that we send those questions over to Troy, or if Troy sees them, he can answer it directly. But that will happen starting today, right after this call, right after this meetup, up until July 5. We'll be opening up the floor for anyone else who has questions about what Troy talked about today.
Sam Troy just dropped his socials on the chat. So if you
Oh,
want to
yes.
connect with Troy on LinkedIn or Twitter, it's in the chat.
Yes, thank you so much, Troy, for sharing those. I follow him on Twitter too and LinkedIn. He has good stuff, so I recommend you guys follow. Hug jobs, if any positions are open in your company or in your school and you'd want to promote it, the Hug community is more than welcoming to accept that. Of course, we're all about doing better here. So, and that includes building your skills, building your experience through any job opportunities that may come your way, and also additional resources. I want to be able to share these with you guys. Or I'm sure David will be sharing this in the chat in a bit. These are just some additional stuff that you may want to check bit from our session today, topics related to our session today. That's the podcast of Troy. We'll put the link to his I Digress podcast. Though I know Sarah shared some already. If you want to buy or get a copy of his book, Strategize Up, we have that link ready as well. If you want to know more about competitive strategy, HubSpot recently released a certification course for that, and it's free. So I recommend that you guys take it too if you want to. And I know Troy touched on marketing as well today. So one of the things that we can recommend is to work on your ABM marketing campaigns. And if you need a step-by-step guide, figure out what does ABM mean and how can I apply it to my marketing, we have a free ebook there also in the chat. Thanks, David, for pulling that up. A few more things. If you want to know more about strategy hacking or you want to get mentored or coached, I guess, by Troy, you can connect with him and the strategy hackers. This is a QR code to their site, but David also put the sorry about that. David put the link to our chat. So I think it's a different link. We'll share the link with you guys also, post email. Or you can scan the QR code right now. So I'll give you guys 3 seconds to scan. Three, two. Oh, Sarah's scanning as well. Oh, thank you, Troy. All good? Yes, all good. And for us as well, if you need any help with HubSpot, you want to learn more about some of the tools Troy touched on today, or you just want to know more about um, how you can utilize what Troy talked about today in your HubSpot portal or your HubSpot account, you can book a discovery call with us here. There, it's a QR code again, if you want to scan it. Three, two, and one. Lastly, of course, the Hug Manila community is always happy to connect, even if we don't see each other every day. And a lot of our things are virtual, but we're planning face to face meetups very soon. If you still aren't part of our three groups, we highly recommend that you join them: LinkedIn, Facebook, and our HubSpot community on the HubSpot site, events.hubspot.com. Feel free to join them. These are avenues for you guys to connect with the right people, open the right rooms, find the right rooms, and um, really strategize up and get your business goals achieved. But yeah, we have the links there. David has also put them in the chat. And that ends our meetup for today. I want to thank everybody so much for coming and for listening in. Thank you to those who were able to stay until the very end. We're always happy to have you guys here, and we hope to see you in the next meetup. We'll post details about that very soon, but they'll definitely be related to inbound. Yes, because inbound is happening in September. So again, my name is Sam. I'm your Hug Manila leader and your host for today's Q2 meetup, all about how to strategize up setting the mid-year course for business success. Thank you so much to everybody. Thank you so much, Troy, for coming.
Thank you,
And
Troy, for waking up early for us.
Anytime. I'm very humbled to be here.
all good. Thank you guys so much.